I'm pretty sure they will know that's not me. Yeah.
Okay, I've got 20 minutes. The ticker's right in front of me. I've been warned I must close in 20 minutes. But to unpeel the brain of an architect in 20 minutes is an unfair proposition on you. I've had the good fortune of having met Pramod offline, have followed his work for a long time. And a few days ago, I said, I want to come and meet you. So he said, okay, come over to Koramangala. And I've just come to Bangalore only 8 years ago. So I said, what is Koramangala? Koramangala is actually setting up a foundation for prosperity. As an architect, thinking about what's going on behind that cranium to get into those crevices of your brain, we talked about first design principles when you're trying to solve for billions. There are very few architects in the world who are even given or have the opportunity for a challenge to solve for $1 billion at a time. So, going back to Aristotle's thinking around first principles, what does a deep tech entrepreneur here or a large organization representative over here have to switch on contextually to be thinking $1 billion?
Okay, that's a hard question. Half the time we don't even know how we do things. Okay, we don't necessarily sit back and contemplate the process behind the design itself, design of UPI or design of account aggregator, design of ONDC or design of Aadhaar, much of the things we have done. But question is relevant. I think there are two parts to it, I think. One, some of us have been blessed with patience capital. That means unlike, if we are a VC-funded startup, for example, I'm not sure how, especially in India, you don't know how long you have before you have to reasonably show something, and if that window is about 3-4 years, it does get hard. Then you have to then produce the product, find the mapping, and get successful in 3-4 years because your board is breathing down your neck. I think for us, it was easier because as an infrastructure builder, we had a much longer window. So first difference would be that we think in 15 years. All the work I've been thinking about it is 10 to 15 years thing. So it's about building the underlying infrastructure and getting ready, both technological side of it, regulatory policy side of it, and of course, entrepreneurial side of it. Why should entrepreneurs even get excited about this infrastructure? So I think we have much longer cycles, so I want to be, it was easier for us, is what I'm saying, than entrepreneurs, okay? It's harder for you guys. But what are the learnings though? Learning is that nothing at that scale can be pushed by artificial drug. Whether drug could be, say, let's mandate something. That's a good drug governments use normally. Good or bad, I don't know. But other one, like discounting, commerce, people could say, let me throw money at it. But none of these temporary drugs induce long-term sustainability of what you're trying to do. So I think one learning is that you need to identify the real value unlock. What is the value you are unlocking for society, your customers at large? And for us, our customers were entrepreneurs and society at large. So what is the real value? Second, nothing in the future is certain. So what do you design today for a completely unknown future? That's always a hard thing. So Nandan Nilekani, my mentor, uses this term, optionality as a strategy. So you have to, as an entrepreneur, we kept so many optionality in our kitty because we didn't know what would turn out in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. So how do you design something that is has longevity, but you have to take actions today? And that is so you have to worry about that longevity problem, especially when the future is unknown. And the third is extreme diversity. The diversity of use cases, diversity of your customer, diversity of their financial, religious, their beliefs, their cares, their fears, everything had to be accounted for. That means your product, and how do you design an extremely unopinionated design that allows opinions to be programmed. That's a very interesting thing, right? RBI will have an opinion about what UPI should do. And RBI did have an opinion, right? Into UPI when we launched. They said only 2,000 rupee limit and only peer-to-peer. But we had designed 10 years worth of UPI capabilities as engineers into the protocol. When we designed the protocol, we knew recurring money, programmable money, all that thing will come. And as architects, we are disappointed in one sense when, regulator says only 2,000 rupee. I said, really? After all that thing, that's very... But that calibrated action, calibrated takeoff was necessary to establish trust, maturity at scale. So we use this term, phrase, what works at scale is very different from scaling what works. Okay, remember this all the time. What works at scale is very different from scaling what works. And almost everyone invariably falls into the trap of trying to scale what works. You will go, whether you are an NGO, whether you are a company, you'll try it out for 1,000 customers, 5,000, awesome, it's working. And then you imagine 50 million customers, and the whole thing falls apart, right? Because your muscle, your money, your people, your process, your incentive, your value proposition, everything changes at that scale. And for us, as infrastructure builder, which is different from you guys as entrepreneurs, one more principle had to be built in, which is minimalism, extreme minimalism. Because if we are building if government is a market maker, as Smith was earlier saying, and not a solver, we are not solving, we are only market making. What is the playground design? And what is a playground to be very minimal so that all of you can play faster, cheaper, safer, right, on that playground. So I think that is, but for entrepreneurs, it's okay to build more because you have to create the moat. And it's okay to build a lot more, but layer it.
So that leads me to, I read that you had worked in a company, was called Yantra. So I said, interesting. That's where he sort of...
1995, okay?
That's what,
now you're telling me what age I am.
That's what shaped your logic and the logistics.
Yes.
And two things that I think we need when we're thinking about designing for $1 billion.
Agree.
But there are two more points that come with Yantra, and the nice Sanskrit words are useful here, is Tantra, Yantra, and Mantra, which are three very powerful ways to think about design principles. And Yantra is the weave. And I have seen your conversations around a network of weavers. Who are your weavers?
Yeah.
Right? That's one bucket, which is also thinking about interconnectedness of these billion.
Yes, yes.
Which is almost forecasting a network effect that's going to take place later, at some point of time. Yeah. And if you do begin with the defect, there's going to be no effect. Right? The second bucket is when you say yantra, which is again, the whole idea is that there is design principles to be meditative and then to be ritualistic and repetitive.
That's true.
So when you build for $1 billion, it's not just about building, right? Yeah. It's also operational thinking. Yeah. And therefore, the third word that is very interesting is mantra, which is what do you repeat that others will follow or others can memorize and use in your daily life. So we all are aware of UPI in our daily lives. So go back again and tell us architecting principles that we can leave behind for
My God, you are a serious abstractor. Okay, I don't think like that. I'm a busy doer. I think I'm just doing stuff that is intuitive, and we have a large team, and good people, and you assemble good people, and then you almost hopefully get to the right place. But you're right. There are many underlying first principles, tools, and ideas that we repeatedly use.
Yeah.
And many of those are actually applied at scale. But there's one danger of the ritualistic thing, which I also tell my own team. When the tools become ritualistic, then rituals overtake you. Rituals take over. So one of the strongly held beliefs, but strong beliefs, but weakly held. So I'm a person with a lot of weakly held beliefs, by the way, but strong opinions, strong beliefs, but very weakly held. That means I can actually readjust and shape my mind with youngsters questioning me and youngsters giving me newer ideas any day. So that means even at my age, I can change my forms and shapes and beliefs very fast. And it might work bad or good, but I don't know. But definitely, I think when you go back to UPI, we asked the first question we were asking. And the good thing about it is that I had no background of payment. I was not from payment industry. I was not from banking industry. I was not from any of this, what is known as experts. I had zero expertise in payment. I think that was a blessing. That was a blessing because I was first principle person. So I would ask very first principle questions. Why not? If messages can flow instantly between WhatsApp or email and HTTP connects the world, why is sending 1 rupee? It's just byte, right? It's just a byte. And 1 byte has to reflect accordingly in the sender's ledger, and the byte has to appropriately reflect in receiver's ledger, which is a standard ledger update or a decrement process. Why is it so hard to send? And then all the experts in Mumbai would typically say, you have no clue, this is not how it works, and we have settlement guarantee, we have risks, and okay, then I would ask, why not? Teach me. Nothing like being like a child. Okay, when you are child at heart, it's amazing how you want to feel yourself really stupid and uncomfortable every day. If you are not, then you are at a very comfortable situation. That means you are not progressing. I can tell you for sure. So you put yourself in discomforting situation, but surrounded by the well-meaning people and smart people, and ask stupid questions every day. Why not? Why not? Why not? And eventually, we did UPI design that became literally a page and a half. The whole UPI design is literally less than a page. I mean, and Aadhaar, the 2 APIs, are like half a page each. That API changed the world. That one API of Aadhaar changed whole of 1 billion people's life. So people will think, oh, what is in an API? Well, it's just one spec, some JSON, some API, REST API. We think tech. We don't think the ability to shape. Yeah. And the building block that you build can shape the future of how flow of trust, flow of money, flow of data, now with ONDC, flow of goods and services. Yep. We are easing the pipe to make the flow fluid, much more fluid. And if it is a programmable environment, then we open up the next thousands of entrepreneurs who can actually program new forms of flow. Flow of money, flow of goods, flow of services, flow of trust, and flow of everything that we see.
So on that note then, when the talent is your best friend, and that's what sort of really circles up this whole play, and most of us are fairly caught sometimes in the nitty-gritties of product process, and when you actually come to life, there are potholes.
Of course.
You have to solve, and I would just try to get your thoughts on solving for what at that point of time must have been the unplanned, the unanticipated, the unknown, the unintended, and the uninitiated.
Everything was
inclusive, was uninitiated people.
And a lot of time, undesirable. Nobody wanted it. So everybody would say, why do you need UPI? I mean, this is very hard to convince a future when it's not yet formed. Very hard for people to imagine. So everything is yes.
And so there you architect with that in mind, right?
Of course. You completely architect with all this. We were talking, right, in the room earlier.
Exactly.
That's the reality of life.
Yeah.
You cannot you cannot wish that, oh, you don't have opposition. Oh, you cannot wish that you don't have incumbency not wanting you to launch that new thing, or incumbent actors. Your policy fears. What if something, why sky falls down? Everything can go wrong, right? So policy, they have their own concern. Nobody is purposely being unintentional. Everybody has an intention of coming where they are coming from, including people. Okay, we built digital health stack. Very, one of the most powerful underlying digital health fabric, programmable fabric we imagined architecturally, but very hard to pull off in this country, right? Because health as a sector it's not an economic incentive driven. Why rich people can be very unhealthy? It's a very weird question we ask, right? Most aspirational societies and rich societies seem to be most unhealthy. So it's very weird that we sometimes have no clear mechanism to drive the actual incentives of society. So anything at scale requires to deal with this So what drives you? Is the core belief that if you ease the movement of money, it's a necessary condition. And I say everything we have done so far, remember, every digital public infrastructure effort we have done is merely a necessary condition, never a sufficient condition. Okay, remember, it's necessary but not sufficient. So that means you have no guarantee that this will actually change the face of India.
Yeah.
But without it, you guarantee not to change the face of India. Okay? So our argument is that it is necessary but not sufficient. So necessary gives us hope. That means we are not trying to solve world hunger. We are really not trying to say, oh, will that woman who's selling the flowers on the roadside or banana on the roadside may end up losing money through UPI? Yeah, maybe. It's not sufficient. UPI alone is not sufficient. Awareness, understanding, don't share your freaking OTP, don't share PIN. We keep saying all the, lot of that is needed. And institutional, private market, continuous push to actually get to the sufficiency. But it is necessary. That means underlying playgrounds, market-making playgrounds where all the sectors are necessary for us to actually go to the next orbit. Not sufficient. So I think our job as a designer is to create that necessary minimum unopinionated playground.
Excellent. On that
period.
On that note, my apologies to the audience. Like I said, we only got 1,200 seconds, and I got 140 seconds left. One last question. You're obsessed with now the concept of network for humanity.
Yeah, we're obsessed.
You're looking at internet of value. And these are very philosophical, but
indeed,
you've proven to us that in 15 years, it is possible, and you've actually lit that up.
Indeed.
One day, we had a bunch of presentations, and this continuous sound that comes is IP, whereas you have the letter O, where as soon as you walk into your offices, everything is open. O all the time. Open network for digital commerce.
Open plumbing. We are only worried about plumbing. We are not worried about the private IP that gets built on top of it. UPI is open doesn't mean PhonePe has to be open.
So,
UPI is open doesn't mean
do you
Zerodha
believe the entrepreneurial teams that are thinking IP first, and that's the route to profit, must leave behind some components which are open in a stack?
You have, according to me,
Especially
you
when
have no choice as entrepreneurs. By the way, ask this question. When internet came as an open infrastructure, it gave birth to millions of entrepreneurs and innovation on top. So every innovation we see is on the shoulders of an open underlying fabric called the internet. Then now with Web3 and all the things, again, all of them will go through some boom and bust. Don't worry about it. But the idea of decentralized programmable environments like Web3 is giving rise to the next massive slew. AI, and if you have some open infrastructure for AI, it'll give you. Healthcare, it'll give you next set of. So our ideas for us is to create that open playground, open environment open policy support that allows next thousands of entrepreneurs to create specific purpose-built solutions for the diversity of humanity. And that's all we are asking. So I think our side is open doesn't mean you have to be open. You must create moat. You have no choice but to create moat. Just to code is never the moat, but you still have to create execution moat. But if you build on top of open rails, like you're building on top of internet, it allows you to go faster, cheaper. One last comment is that, and I shamelessly quote Nitin Kamath on this, R0, the founder. He also knows that I keep bringing up his name all the time, is because he actually tells, until 2016, or late part of 16, he had acquired 70,000 customers in 7 years, roughly. 70,000 customers, as an entrepreneur. Because he has to build hard work of sending broker form, getting forms filled, getting all that signed. 7 years, you have to keep the form copy, KYC karo, ye karo, wo karo, all that thing, you karke, 70,000 customers. 2016, SEBI made a single policy, one and again, couple of pages document. They said, up to 50,000 rupees, you can use e-sign, Aadhaar, KYC, and UPI. He went to 7 million customers in next 1 year. So it is important to understand that you as entrepreneurs, if you take a leverage what is underlying available, plumbing available to you, you can go to GTM faster, go to market faster, and exponentially grow from this 20 million customers or 50 million to 200 million customers and 500 million customers. And that's awesome.
Thank you so much.
That's what we should do.
On that note, sharing your insights.
Thank you. Thanks, Sudhir.